It's the third and final day of the VR Days Europe 2017. I'm here with psychologist Skip Rizzo. He's the Director of Medical VR of the University of Southern California. Mr. Rizzo, you just moderated a talk. What did you take away from the talk?
Well, I got to see a lot of different applications where people are trying to use virtual reality to treat health conditions. So everything from using it as a methodology for distracting people from painful medical procedures to developing game-based physical therapy, ways that people after a stroke can practice their motor activity in a rehab setting, but doing it in a game, in a fun way, you know.
What are some of the practical, already happening examples of VR now in medical science?
Well, for example, one area we've worked in for quite a long time is in treating people with post-traumatic stress disorder. And we really got to start working with veterans from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that have come back to the United States with significant psychological wounds of war, if you will. And we can use VR in a way that sometimes seems counterintuitive, but is scientifically found to be really useful. And that is, we can put people in simulations that resemble what they were traumatized in the real world, help them to go back and confront and reprocess those difficult emotional memories, but in a safe environment with a clinician. And by doing that repeatedly, you see the PTSD symptoms start to decline. So we've got a lot of good research to document that now. And our work, which was originally funded by the military for veterans, now is moving out towards civilian populations. We just did a study with sexual trauma and got good outcomes with that. And that's a very difficult type of trauma to work with in VR. We're certainly not building virtual sexual assaults. We're creating the context in which these things have happened, and the clinician can customize the environment and help a patient go back and feel a little bit of that anxiety, but be able to talk themselves through it, be able to, feel a little bit more empowered, and maybe sometimes even talk, because, VR is an emotionally evocative technology. It helps people to talk about things maybe they haven't talked to anybody about before, and that's part of the healing process as well. So that's an application area. We're doing some work with people with autism, using virtual humans so that they can practice their social skills in a safe environment, particularly with job interviews. A lot of times people on the high end of the autism spectrum are very bright and very capable. They can do the job, but they choke during the job interview, they're just not good in these kind of social situations. So let them practice a bunch with a virtual human that we can change up to, a variety of ethnic backgrounds or age or gender, and we can make the character more provocative, going from a nice soft touch softball interviewer to neutral to son of a bitch interviewer, those kinds of stress interviewers that we've all had at some point. So you can give people that kind of graded systematic practice in a safe place. And what you find is that, even though that's not a real person, your brain perceives it like it's a real person. So then when you go out into the real world and you're interacting with a real person, some of that carries over and you feel more comfortable. So there's, I think, a lot of work with virtual humans now that the level of artificial intelligence and voice recognition, natural language processing, that's all improving. So now we can make these characters have really credible interactions with real people, like training a doctor how to be a good interviewer with a patient, a virtual patient. You give novice clinicians a chance to screw up a bunch with a virtual patient before they ever get their hands on a live one. We can do that stuff now, and it's really credible.
And where's it going, do you think, in the future?
I think that in the future...
Let's say 5-10 years, something like that?
Yeah, even within 5 years, I think VR will be in common practice where it has shown value already for anxiety disorders, phobias, PTSD, cognitive assessment, physical rehabilitation. These are all areas that there's good science, and now it's the commercialization. That's the Darwinian sea has to be crossed in terms of making products that people are going to buy and adopt. So that's going to happen within the 5-year span. But at the end of the 5 years, I'm expecting that the artificial intelligence and all the enabling technologies needed to build virtual humans that you can interact with will be pretty evolved. And I think regularly we'll be interacting with virtual characters, whether it's online as a virtual healthcare support agent, or whether it's in training, or companies that want to automate the process of job interviewing for hundreds of people and they don't want to have 100 interviewers. We'll be doing their interviews with virtual people.
Last question about the days itself, VR days. What do you think about it?
VR Days is my favorite VR event of the whole year, because number one, it's in Amsterdam, so that's great. But it brings together a stew, a mix of people from all different disciplines. You've got business people, you've got game developers, you've got graphic artists, you've got psychologists, you've got physical therapists, you've got computer programmers. I mean, you've got the whole mix of industry, application, visionary thinking, creative people. VR attracts people that don't follow the standard path. There's a certain personality type that's drawn to VR, and I think VR Days exemplifies that. It's a modern day digital wonderland of experience where not only are you getting wowed by the technology, but you're seeing people that are taking ideas, sound ideas, and implementing them in VR in ways that I think is going to make a difference in the real world. So, this brings it all together. VR Days has that stew of expertise all blended together. You make new friends, you see old friends. You've certainly got a ton of great demos. I mean, the underwater headset with the dolphin content. I haven't seen anything like that before. That's a first. That's a historical first. So, that's what you get with VR Days. You get innovation, you get ideas, you get cool people, and it's in Amsterdam.
Skip Rizzo, thank you very much.
Thank you.